Hi there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to build a multi-agent AI system using OpenAI API. And specifically, we will learn the concept of agent as a tool. So instead of having one giant AI doing everything, we will build small specialized agent. For example, one for doing research, one for doing critic and editing, and one orchestrator agent, which will control all the workflow. And this is how the multi-agent system works. So let's get started. In video 1, our tool was a simple Python function which took the city name and returned a hard-coded weather data. And we defined a tool schema for that, which was the weather tool, and we also defined the function. And we call this function using the LLM, and this is exactly called the function calling or the function tool in the AI engineering. And in this video, we are going to call an agent as a tool. So for that, let's create a file and let's give a name that agent as a tool, and yes, this is going to be agent as a tool. This will be our multi-agent system. Now let's import the libraries we will need. First we will import the .env to load the environment variables so we can securely access our API. Now import the JSON, OpenAI SDK. From OpenAI, import OpenAI, and let's import the rich library. This replaces the Python built-in print function, and it makes the terminal output with a better formatting. And let's load the environment variable. And now let's initialize the OpenAI client object. And this is the standard way to initialize the OpenAI SDK and interact with the API. And now let's create an agent, and the first agent is going to be our research agent. So let's write researcher. Now let's define the function for the research agent, and it will take an input as a topic, which will be the string, and it will return a string as an output. And let's create a response object, and the client.chat.completion.create, and let's select one model. And for this video I'm going to select the model GPT-5. Where is that? Yes, so I'm going to select the GPT-5 Nano for the researcher agent, and I'm going to give the message, which will be the prompt. And for the system role, for the role system, let's give the system prompt, you are a research expert, research expert, give a detailed factual summary in 3 to 4 paragraphs, include specific facts and examples. Okay, so this is going to our system prompt, And for the user, for the role user, let's for the content, okay, let's say research this topic thoroughly, and let's keep the topic. And now let's return the response. Response start choices that matches that content. So this is the actual content returned by this agent, which is actually an LLM inside this function. Now let's create a second agent, agent 2, and this will be our critic agent. Let's define the function critic agent, and it will take the input content of type string, and it will also return the string. And let's create the response object, and client.chat.completion.create, and let's select a model. And for this agent, I'm going to select GPT-5. You can select any model for this, and I'm going to say the system prompt for the role system and content. Let's say you are an expert editor. Identify the 3 most important improvement the writer should make. Be specific and concise. Okay, so this is my system prompt, and I'll give for the role user and I will give the content, review this content. And I'll pass the content here. Now the critic agent will review the content written by our researcher agent, and let's now return the response. Let's say response dot choices dot message dot content. And now we define our tool schema exactly like in video 1. So let's say tool schema, and this is our going to be research tool, and this will be our dictionary, and the type is function, and in the function The name of our function is research agent. Research agent. And now let's write the description. And the description will be it research any topic and return a detailed factual summary. And let's define the parameters of the function. Parameters will be the type is object, so the type is going to be object, and in the properties, inside the properties we will define the topic, and it will have the type of string, and the description is simply the topic to research. And now let's define the required parameters. In the required, the list of parameter is we only have one parameter, so that's a topic. And in the additional properties, it is going to be false. Now let's define the critic tool quickly. Critic tool schema, and the type is function again. Let's write the function. Inside the function, the name is going to be the critic agent. And in the description, let's write review written content and return specific improvement suggestions. And let's define the parameters. In the parameters, the type is object. Let's say type is the object, and inside the properties, in the content, the type is string, and the description will be in the description is the content to review. And let's add all the required parameters. The required is only content. Okay. And in the additional properties, let's write false. Okay. Okay, so let's now define the orchestrator, and this will go into our top level agent, and it will take the input user request, which is going to be string, and it will return of type string. Now let's give the system prompt inside the message variable, and for the role system and inside the content we give different level of instructions. Say you are a blog writing assistant, follow this exact process. And in number one say call research agent, to gather information about the topic, and in number two say write a compelling 150 to 200 word of blog introduction from the research, and and in number three call critic agent to get feedback on your introduction. And in number four, revise the introduction based on the feedback. And in 5, return only the final revised introduction, no meta commentary. Okay, so this is the system prompt for the orchestrator agent. And for the user prompt, we give the user request. Okay, and now we will define a step counter. Step is equal to 0, and we will define the while loop. and let's define a response client.chat.completion.create and select one model, and I'm going to select model GPT-5 mini, and in the message I'm going to give the list of dictionary which we have already created, and for the tools I'm going to give all the tools as a list, and we have the research tool and the critic tool. Now let's create a choice variable, choice, and extract the choice list from the response object, choices. Okay, and now if the choice dot finish reason is tool calls, which means if the LLM wants to call a tools, it will become true. Then let's append the message or the choice dot message, and for all the tool calls, for tool calls and choice dot message dot tool calls, let's extract the function name, which means the tool name, and tool call dot function dot name, and load the arguments from the json dot loads and tool call dot function dot arguments, and this is the arguments we need to call that function or the agent, and we will increase the step size of 1, and let's print this step, and calling function name, which means our tool, the agent tool, and let's get the function, actual function, which call the globally, and get the function name, and let's get the result from this function passing the arguments, and yes, and now let's append this result into the message, and this is the result from the tool, and the content is the result which we get from the tools, and we'll also add the tool call ID which says which tool has returned this result, and this message will again send back to the LLM, and if the reasoning has finished, it returns the final result, choice dot message dot content, and let's call this function orchestrator, name is custom main, then let's define a topic, and let's ask how AI agent are changing software engineering in 2025, and we will ask our researcher agent to research on this topic. Now let's print the topic, and the topic here is going to be displayed in our console, and let's call the orchestrator, and let's give it write a blog introduction about this topic, and let's print the final output, and let's make this prettier with the rich library, and we can make this bold green and print the final blog introduction. This will be printing in the bold green text, and let's print the final result from the orchestrator, and let's save it and let's run it. Let's the file and change the directory, and uv run agent as a tool, and let's see the output now. And expected error, missing required arguments, expected message or message and model. Okay, so let's check the message. I think there is some mistake in the spelling. This is correct, and this one is also correct, and okay, here we miss the s in the spelling. Okay, let's save it again and let's run it again, and now we can see that the orchestrator first call the research agent, and after getting the result from research agent, the critic agent verifies it and send the final output to the orchestrator. And in this context, the orchestrator is using both the agent as a tool, and it has no idea what is happening inside the function. And this is how we can use an agent as a tool or any other LLM. But did you notice how much boilerplate we are still writing? For example, this while loop, and this finish reason check, and this message appending, and all these things. So what if we could define an agent in just 5 lines, and we don't have to write this tool schema? So that's what the OpenAI Agents SDK is, and in video 3 I'm going to show you how you can rebuild exactly what we have built today, and but with just a fraction of code, and we will have the same concept, same mental model, and everything will be same, just in just a few lines of code using the OpenAI Agents SDK. So thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in video 3.